Okay, so very subjective, but in my opinion, and from empirical evidence, love is when two people come together, you commit your lives together in hope to build a future. And within that element, you will have good times and bad times. So love is not just all, happy, happy times. So you endure the bad times and you enjoy the good times. So anything that brings two people together, a union, you come together with, shared ideas, shared values, and you commit to one another no matter the situation. So when you're taking your vows, they say in sickness and in health. So you're committing to staying with this person because you love them. Even when they don't deserve to be loved, you still love them because you have committed to loving them.
Thank you very much. You being a woman, I would want to know how many times a woman can fall in love. How many times can a woman fall in love?
Right, okay. That is an interesting question. So the philosophers and the theories of love will tell you that a woman can only fall in love once, but I disagree because you can love somebody and maybe based on issues between the two of you, you could fall out of love for the person, or maybe your partner may pass away, you'll meet another person and you may fall in love with that person again. So I would say a woman or a girl can fall in love more than once, depending on the situation.
Okay, so it's not static as to
No,
whether a
it
woman can
isn't.
fall in love once or twice, but it varies depending on the
Yes,
situation.
yes,
All right. Do you agree that honesty is always the best policy in a relationship?
yes, I do. Because the moment you start being dishonest with your spouse, as you go down, hello, yeah, even if you have a situation where you're telling the person the truth, because you've been, you've lied to them maybe more than once. Now, whatever you say to them, they're not really sure whether you're telling them the truth or not. So you need to be honest. Sometimes honesty might mean upsetting the other person, but it's always better to be honest with one another, no matter the consequences. Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, whether you lose the person or not, you still want to.
If whatever you've done is such that you stand to lose the person, then you shouldn't have done it in the first place.
In that case, what do you do? Because you've done it and then you don't want to lose the person. Are you going to come clean or should you?
Come clean and give the person the opportunity to forgive you. Yeah.
What do you think about your partner being your best friend? Is it always the case?
Right. Okay. Another interesting question. In my opinion, that's how it's supposed to be. But this is not something I feel you can do whilst you're in the marriage. This is something you need to build from the foundation. So you're already friends before you get into the marriage. If you were not best friends before you got married, it will require the two of you to want that same thing. So if I wanted to be best friends with my husband, but he didn't share the same vision, it's not going to happen. So within the marriage, if yes, you were not friends before, but you decide that, you know what, I want my husband to be my best friend, or I want my wife to be my best friend, you can make it happen, but it has to be a shared value or goal, something that both of you aspire to see in the marriage. Yeah.
Thank you. But what if probably you and your partner met briefly before getting married, but you still want to be best friends?
You can make that happen, but you need to put the work into it. That's why, well, ideally, you're supposed to really get to know each other before you get into marriage. But most often, we just focus on the frivolous semantics and we lose focus on the real things. Somebody was saying like a while ago, he said, You know, you met the person and you just assume that they have a relationship with soap and water. These are things that you need to ask, like, oh, do you take showers? So if you just made the assumption that they're going to have a shower every night, and then you're going to have issues because the person does not have a relationship with soap and water. So it's just really getting to know each other before, if you're already in there, you can still get to know one another, but pay attention, get to know the person. Oh, why do you do things this way? Are you frugal with money? What is your opinion on this? But communication. When we don't communicate, we do not get to know one another.
That's great. What do you think about violence? I'm going somewhere. There are people that feel in their relationship violence spices it up. Do you think there is ever a justification for violence in relationships?
Did you just say that some people feel it spices things up?
Yeah, there are some people who feel if things go sour and then sometimes I'm head battered. It's in the other room. It helps
Okay.
solving it.
So we're talking about, getting physical with one another, or is it emotional
It
as
can
well?
be emotional. It can be physical. Violence is violence.
Yeah, there should never be a time where any man or any woman feels that it's okay for their partner to abuse them. It's a no-no. If you're being emotionally abused or physically abused, it doesn't mean that you should leave the person, but you have to understand that the person probably has a mental health issue, so they need help. And if your life is in danger, then you need to take some time away whilst they get the support they need, because especially when there are children involved, you're exposing them to a lot of toxic behavior. So I don't think it should ever be tolerated in any relationship. Yeah.
So in this case, what if you encounter it in the middle of the marriage? How do you go about it?
Yes, like I said, the person, so the abuser, they need help. The other person needs help as well. Because when you stay in a relationship that you're being constantly abused, you might get to a point where you begin to accept that it is normal, especially if you are in the relationship with someone who is a narcissistic person. They will begin to make you feel like, you shouldn't make me angry, because when you get me angry, then I hate you. It's your fault. Those kind of situations, and we even have to teach our children about these things, that it's not acceptable. If it is happening, they need help. They're not well. They're probably dealing with some unresolved childhood trauma, and so you need to get them help, and you need to protect yourself above every other thing. Yeah.
Okay, talking about children, you're a mother of girls, and we've got a lot of young ones in here. What would you say? What would you say about three qualities people should look out for before commencing a relationship? Men and then women, likewise.
Self-confidence. Self-confidence is number one on the list for me, because when you're in a relationship with someone who is confident in themselves, they love themselves, you cannot give out what you don't have inside you. So if the person is not confident, when people like that, even if it's in a friendship scenario, everything you do, you have to give an explanation, because they think everything is about them. Thank you. They think everything is about them. The person has to be confident. They need to know who they are. Like for the young ones, the person is approaching you and they're even shy to ask for your phone number. They are not confident. It's a red flag. The person needs to be able to step up. If it's a man, he needs to be able to step up to a woman boldly and say, yo, I think I'm feeling you, I need your digits. We need to hook up. We need to say one or two things. Not the person is, hiding behind their mom or dad and say, oh, sister, shalom, can I take your number? No, you don't need that. You need the person to be able to step up to you and say, yeah, I'm feeling you. What do you say? Let's do this thing together. You know what I'm saying? And you also need somebody who fears God. A man who fears God and loves God, even if he's going wrong, God will bring him back, and that man is able to lead. If he doesn't have God in him, I don't know what kind of home you're going to build with that person. And number three, I would say honesty. You need someone who can be honest with you. So he squandered all the money in the account, but he can come to you and say, I've done something silly. This is the situation we are in. Can we do something about this? Yeah.
Thank you. With the first quality, yeah, what if the person really wants something to do with you, but it's not about they not having self-confidence. You know, there are people who cherish the friendship they have with you, and they feel if they take it to the further step, and then you do not agree with them, they might not be able to come around you. So those people try to have human shields who would be kind of intermediaries for them.
No. If you dig in a woman, you need, as a man, you need to be able to step up to her. You shouldn't let someone be in the middle and be, no, for me, that's a big no. You're not confident. If you're confident, you'll be able to step up to me. Because what happens when you're in a relationship with this woman, when she's doing some things, you can't tell her. Maybe you don't like the way she dresses. You want to be able to tell her that, I've had enough of the jollof and the wache. How about some continental dishes? You can't, because that's not how you started the relationship. You were not bold enough to tell her some things at the beginning. So these kind of things, it will progress into the relationship and then into the marriage. So you don't want to upset her. So even when you need to act as a man, as a leader of the home, and tell her some things, you're not able to do it, and it doesn't help.
Okay, thank you. The reason I asked this, back in the days, I used to be the betweener for an uncle of mine. So that's how I was asking.
Right, I see.
So I'll take information to the lady, and then I would take information back from the lady to my uncle. And
So you're quite the man.
no, I was doing that for my uncle.
No, the man should be able to, you should be able to go to the woman yourself directly. Yeah. If the man is confident, it wouldn't matter whether he gets rejected or not, because like, oh yeah, she wasn't meant for me. Let's move on. But when there's an issue with confidence, he doesn't want to, get bruised. So yeah.
So how do you unwind when you are stressed in a relationship or a marriage?
Are we allowed to answer the biblical way or the no?
The biblical way. We are in church.
Okay. A bubble bath is nice. A glass of wine here and there. Hallelujah, non-alcoholic wine.
So are you sure it's non-alcoholic,
Yes.
not nitrate? Okay. So how do you handle arguments in a relationship or marriage?
It depends. Ideally, in most relationships, you always have one who is hot-tempered and one who is calm. So the calm person, if you can, allow the other person to go off and be, acting crazy and whatever, when they calm down, because in the heat of the moment, you cannot reason with each other. So you're just going to end up, just throwing words. And if you're not careful, then you begin to say things that are quite hurtful. And words are powerful. You may go back and apologize, but you've already, hurt the person, and you can't undo that. So if you can, just calm yourself down. Maybe go to separate rooms when you are a bit calm and you can reason, and you can sit down and talk about it. But one thing I realized, if you're dealing with a partner who is proud, you always find that the other person always has to be the one to like sort of calm the situation down. And again, from empirical evidence, it will get to a point where the other party will feel like, no, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot be the one, the peacemaker, so to speak. So you need to have two people that are willing. See, we talk about submission, and we think it's just women. No, men need to be humble as well in a relationship. When you have a man who is a true leader, even if he's not wrong, he's not, he doesn't feel big, so big that he will not be able to say, you know what, I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. I need you to come and sit down so we can sort this out. That that is leadership. Because women, we go through a whole lot of stuff. The hormonal changes, it's no joke. So maybe, you came at her at the wrong time and she just lashed out. A true leader will wait, let things calm down, and say, look, I don't appreciate the way you spoke to me. Can we talk about this? And I tell you what, when you treat your wife like that, we may not say it, but you feel really, really stupid. You're like, you know what? This man didn't have to apologize to me. I'm the one who was in the wrong, but he still humbled himself and he came to, like try and make peace. Because being a leader is not just about, telling your wife, don't do this and all the rest of it. No, your ability to maintain peace in your home. And that these are the things that commands respect for you as a man, because then she looks up to you that, you know what, that man is a leader. God is in him, because you are showing her the example that God wants you to demonstrate in that home.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we will make it interactive very soon. So if you have anything up your mind to ask, you're preparing yourselves. We'll be coming to you in about 2 minutes, and then we'll make it a bit interactive. I wanted to ask one more thing. How do you handle a competitive partner?
Right. Okay. Well, in a marriage, you're supposed to work towards one goal. But that's a very valid question, because you can have that scenario where one person is quite, competitive. If you have that kind of partner, you have to focus on what, if it is the man in this situation, you just have to move the family's agenda forward, whether she's on board or not. Maybe she's trying to do her own thing, but as you're going along, you need to begin to explain to her that, listen, if we were to do this together, we would be at point A. Where we are point B now. If we were to do it together, we will get to point A in no time. If the person still feels, again, we come to the issue of confidence. When you have a person who is confident in themselves in marriage, in a marriage situation, they have no need to want to compete against, the husband or the wife, because they understand that if it is, maybe example, you're building a house in Ghana, it's for both of you. So she's not going to go to the corner and begin to purchase her own land and begin to do her own thing, or the man is not going to, go off doing his own thing, making his wife feel, invaluable, or, whatever. So you just have to constantly remind this person, we are not in competition with each other. We are fighting towards one goal. So you just have to keep reminding them. Yeah. And perhaps not take them so seriously.
That bit will create a problem, not taking them seriously. But I think you've made your point quite clear, and then it's good. Let's make it interactive now. I would invite a couple of questions. There, there might be things on your mind you want to ask. If you catch my eye, as they say in Parliament, you catch the speaker's eye. So if you catch my eye, I'll call you, and then Rena brings over the microphone to you so you can ask your question, and then Posh helps us out with it. Okay, we've got one person that wants to ask a question.
Hi. So over the past few years, statistics have shown that high rates of divorce or splitting relationships is due to money. So how important is money in marriages and relationships?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I'm not a gold digger, by the way. It's just a question.
Can you come again? I think she wants to get the question again.
So the question is, how important is money, having money in relationships? Because statistically, that has caused high rates of divorce or people falling out and going separate ways. So money-wise, how important is it in a relationship?
Money is important in every relationship because you need money for any kind of exchange to occur. You know, whether you're getting married, you're building, looking after your children. So I think again, from the beginning, if the two of you, you know, you have that conversation, you'll be able to understand, you know, are you frugal with money? Are you a big spender? Are you going to, you know, put your money together? Is she going to have her own account? Is he going to have his own account? How is it going to work out? You need to talk about this because we don't communicate about some of these issues. And that's why it creates all the unnecessary problems. Because if there is an understanding that the man is the leader of the home and he is providing everything, then there shouldn't be any issue. But we don't communicate about these things. So maybe the man is feeling, right, you've got enough money, you can take care of this. So I'm not going to pay for A, B, C, D. I expect you to do it. And the woman is also probably feeling, right, this was never communicated to me. I didn't think I was coming here to, you know, to pay anything. So there has to be, that conversation has to take place from the beginning. Well, if we're looking at the traditional way or biblically, God did instruct the man to work, to provide for his family. So you're going into marriage, you need to you need to know and understand whether the partner, the man that you've chosen, does he understand this biblical principle? Is he willing to work and provide for the family? You know, if you have a scenario where maybe the man is not, he's not working, perhaps due to illness or migration, so he's still, you know, finding his feet, so to speak, or maybe the man is he's actively seeking for employment but nothing is, you know, come through as yet. And so, you know, again, it's communication. He will say to the woman, I do not have the means at the moment to sustain this family, but you are in a position to do so. Can you support me until, you know, I find work? But if this man is operating on biblical principles, he must be able to fulfill that promise of, you know, once he gets a job, takes over his position as the man of the family. Because if you look at it from the biblical principle, the moment a man, you know, you say to the woman to take care of all the family needs, whatever, and meanwhile the man is in a position to do it, you're actually giving some of your authority to that woman because she is now, you know, making the decisions financially. You are in a position to do it, you're not doing it, and you're putting all that weight and burden on her. And out of that can come a whole lot of things like disrespect because she feels like, hey, this is supposed to be your role and I'm fulfilling this role for you. Why is that when you are in a position to do it? So communicate about it. Sit down and talk and say, right, my job does not pay me enough. I can do A, B, C, D. I need you to also come in, you know, and also know what you have. If you know your husband only earns £2,000 a month, for example, why would you go to him and ask him to buy you a Bentley? The man cannot afford it. So we need to be realistic when it comes to, you know, money. He cannot afford it, even if, you know, he wanted to. It's just not possible. So we have to be, you know, quite realistic about those kind of things. You know how much is coming in. You know the outgoings. So you know it's not possible for you to go to the Louis Vuitton shop every month and buy a new handbag. It's going to turn into an argument. So just let's be realistic. Yeah.
I think the question is well answered, is it? All right. Any other question? Karina has a question. Go for it.
How important do you think culture is in picking a husband or a wife?
Culture. Okay. My mom said something to me. She said, I want you to bring a son-in-law that I can communicate with in, in the local language, in the local language. I think as a society, we've come to a point where we're not so engrossed in like, oh, you have to marry from a certain, this person has to be from this place and that place. But you need to look at your background in choosing a partner. But is this person, will they be able to understand your needs, your cultural needs, the things you do within your family, like you go to church, your children get baptized? Will the person be able to understand? Will they be able to come into your world, respect, how things are done? And will you feel comfortable in their world? So you need to ask yourself those questions. Rina? Yes? Okay.
Any more questions for Posh? Abraham, do you have a question? Because I think I can hear you trying to. You're thinking about the question. Really? Chelsea, do you have a question? Okay. Abraham is ready now. Rena. Still thinking.
Sorry, the question's gone again. It was about character, but how I'm wording in my head is not. I think is okay. Everybody's not perfect, right? And everyone has character flaws. When choosing a partner, how can you tell this? Like looking at yourself, how can you tell this character will match with me in a home? If that makes sense. Yeah. Amen.
And
Thank you. Yes, character is very important. When you're dating, if you spend enough time with a person, you visit them at home, you can see how they keep things, just be a little bit nosy. How long do you think the dishes have been there for? Probably been there for a week. Just, like observe, be observant. When you go to the restaurant and the food is taking long, how does the person react? Do they get angry and start giving the service team dirty looks? The person is showing you who they are. That is what you're going to get married to. So you need to be observant, assess them, and if they're not for you, let it go. If you think you can handle it, like I said earlier on, you made an assumption that the person has a relationship with soap and water. They never discussed that with you, that, oh, I'm going to have a shower every night. You just made the assumption. You came to the house when you were dating, you saw the dishes 3 days, 4 days, you were quite okay with it. And then in marriage, you're expecting them to change. Some people are subject to change. There are some people that the moment you draw their attention to some things, they will say to you, right, I didn't realize that this affected you in this way. I will do something about it. There are some people, and nothing going to change them. What you see is what you get from day one until God comes. So it's up to you to say, right, this man is quite lazy. This woman is quite the lazy one. But yeah, I love the lazy type, so we can make it work. So yeah, just be observant.
any more questions for Posh? Okay, were there any questions coming? Oh, okay, there's another question.
Sorry. So when you say be observant, a lot of people when they're dating, they show up as representations of who they want you to think they are. How do you weed the lies out quick enough? Because nobody comes to you and chews with their mouth open on the first date, or tells you that I don't like showers, I bath every 2 days. Everybody comes with as a representation of the person they want you to believe they are.
I believe if you spend enough time with a person and if you're attentive, you will see these things. If when you're dating, maybe they'll call you, oh, what have you been up to? Oh, sorry, I was just in the shower. You've been dating the person for 6 months. You've never heard them say, "Oh, I was just in the shower. Oh, I was just taking a bath." No, there's something wrong. They're telling you something. At least, after 1 month or so, you get to know the person's routine a little bit. So, in the morning, oh, what have you been up to? Oh, I called you earlier. I couldn't reach you. Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. No, they have to at least, you know what I'm saying? Like at a point, they will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed your call. I was in the bath. I'm so sorry. I missed your call. I was preparing dinner. I'm so sorry. I missed your call. I was, on a seminar, something." As time goes on, you begin to have a vague idea of, what they do and what they do not do. Yeah.
Okay, there's another question there.
Okay, don't want to expose myself here, but what do you do if if someone like tries to make advances on you, but you're not interested?
Baby girl, tell them swipe left. You're not interested. That's Gen Z, isn't it? If you like it, right, left. Tell them you know. Say, bro, sorry, you are not for me. Okay. Love is not you. You don't have to feel sympathy for anybody when it comes to love. You don't like them. You don't like them. Okay.
How long do you think the dating period should last before you get married?
It shouldn't be yes. I saw it on Instagram the other time. A couple have been dating for 13 years. Why? You would have had a whole generation and another one, starting by that time. At that point, you have to know there is no future. I think maybe 1 to 3 years. I might be wrong. Maybe Pastor Randy can chip in on that. But it shouldn't be something that drags on for years. You're dating for 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. No, there's no future. You have to let it go.
You okay with that, Ravine? There's Arena. I was going to say Ravina. Where is she? Not seen her. I think we'll let go of you. You've been a blessing to us this evening. We'll say God bless you, and then have a good evening. As she leaves, we would welcome our very own Tina Samoa, Sister Rama, to join us here. Sister Rama, give it up for her. Give it up for her. This is church.
This is church.
Enjoying it.
Um, as you all know, my name is Mrs. Asumeju, preferably. I've been married for 18 years now, and I've got 2 children. Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Ashimedu, thank you for coming. Would like to know more from you because you've been married for 18 years. That's a journey, Jose Mourinho stayed at Chelsea for 5 years and he won lots of trophies. So you have lots of trophies in your trophy cabinet, I guess. What was the first thing that you noticed about your husband, your partner, when you met him? What was the first thing you noticed about your partner when you met him for the first time?
I saw a quiet man. I saw a humble man, and I saw a future.
Okay, so he was quiet and you were not quiet, so you wanted someone to compliment you.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. That's great. What do you think about what we normally say now? It's something that the young people say it a lot, that in a relationship or in a marriage, little money and then little love. In Twi, we say "Odo kakra, sika kakra." How true is that statement?
I think marriage itself comes with responsibilities, and all these responsibilities that we see is done with money. So it's not a big amount or any huge amount, but at least he should be somebody who's got a job, who will be able to provide and then look after you as a woman. So marriage without money, I think when the man is not having money, not working, I would say he's not ready because the ceremony itself, which is just one day, even if you want to have a small occasion, you're going to spend money. So a man without money, to me, I think he's not ready to get married. Thank you.
Okay, so that means you agree with the assertion that little money and then little love.
Yes.
You agree with it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then what's your biggest turn off in a man?
Mine.
Your biggest turn off in a man? Your red flag. Your biggest red flag in a man.
I think somebody who keeps quiet too much, somebody who doesn't share his problems. You know, there are people that you can stay with them and then you realize they have issues, but it's hard for them to open up and share with you. It's a big red flag, and because communication, marriage without communication is really difficult, or even relationship building up with somebody trying to get to know each other and there is no relationship is a big red flag, and it's something that is really difficult, I would say.
What if the person is naturally like that? There are people that, when they are confronted with issues, they get curled back into the shelves, and you need to probe them further before you get to know what's happening. Someone like that, how would you go about
Yeah,
it?
there are people like that. You need to push them to be able to open up to you. But I think if we are building a relationship or we are in marriage, your problems are my problems as well. So, as we all know, problem shared is half solved. I might not have the solution to the problem, but coming to me and telling me how you feel, what is on your shoulders, will even bring some of the issues down on your shoulders as well. So, when you are with somebody and you cannot open up with your issues, it's difficult because as we are in a church, we all wake up and pray. And that is where our first problem goes. If I don't know and I wake up in the morning and I'm praying, that will not come on my request. But when I know when I'm praying, I will pray about it. So I think it's something that we really have to work on in relationship and in marriages as well.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Um, I don't think that one is love. I think you have to know somebody to love the person. When you see somebody on the streets and you think you love the person, to me it doesn't work. You might have seen something on him or her that really attracts you, but it's not love. You have to know somebody to love the person. Because if I see you now and I say I love you, it might be maybe your appearance, the way you walk, or what you are wearing that I'm in love with. It's not what is in you. So I think love at first sight is wrong. It's not love.
So, would you rather call it infatuation or something?
Yes, I would say, yeah.
In marriage, you've been married for 18 years. What would you personally say is your worst habit in marriage? Yours, not anybody's, yours.
My worst habit. I wouldn't call it worse because that is something that really help. I would say I like confrontations because I need answers. You know, some things that you don't have to leave it just